Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, guys. Okay, here we are again. In this occasion, we're going to do this presentation to explain to you in deep how to do an open-close exercise, which is a type of exercise that you will have to face in the FC, the famous FC, or what is called first for schools too. Okay, the examination is called FC for schools or first for schools. So through this presentation, what we want to show you is like some tips that we are going to leave here for you so you can consult and you can read them from time to time, because this video is going to be published in YouTube. Okay, what we're going to focus on right now is to mention what words you need, or what you really need to do an exercise like this. This is an open close exercise. An open close exercise is the one that you are given a text with gaps or blank spaces, and you have to complete it with a suitable word. So it is just allowed to use one word per space. Okay, so basically what we need in this type of exercise, and they are like four different types of words or phrases, we might say. They are parts of a speech in which we find nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, intensifiers, fixed phrases in which we find phrasal verbs, basically, and some phrases. These are like some examples of fixed phrases. We need knowledge about idioms, and we need knowledge about collocations. Okay, so basically here, most of those words you can differentiate them. In conjunctions, we find words like they are like linking words, like or, and, but, and others. Okay, in intensifiers, we find words that we use before adjectives in order to intensify like the meaning of the adjective. For example, is when we say that building is too high, or my uncle is very intelligent. That word too or that word very, they are intensifiers. In fixed phrases, we have phrasal verbs. Yeah, that you already know some of them. Words like carry on, go on, tour off. Okay, and in fixed phrases we have other phrases different from phrasal verbs, which are, for example, take into account, despite the fact that, to sum up, among others. In idioms, we find idioms are like those expressions which have a meaning that is not obvious from the individual words. Yeah, sometimes when we face an idiom, we must try to analyze the context in order to know or to try to guess the meaning of the idiom or the whole phrase. For example, here we have this sentence: I was really ill last week, but I'm on the mend right now. On the mend here, if you take this expression isolated, it's really difficult to know the meaning. Okay, but basically on the mend means that you are feeling better, or you are getting better when you are, for example, ill or sick. Here we have another example: government ministers always pass the buck if they are challenged about poverty. So basically, pass the buck here is that somebody, or in this case the ministers, the government ministers, don't want to take responsibility of something. Okay, so that is pass the buck. So we must know about idioms too when we do these open close exercises. And the last one is collocations, that it is a topic that we have seen in class. Basically, a collocation is a pair or group of words that are often used together. Okay, so here we have an example. It is unbelievable. My uncle is 28 and is becoming bald. My uncle is 28 and is going bald. Here, the correct combination of words is not becoming bald. It's going bald. This is the correct one, going bald. And we have in English a lot of examples with the use of make, with the use of do, with the use of win, earn, gain. Okay, we have seen in class some examples using do and make, and win, earn, and gain. So that is basically about collocations. So just to recap, in order to do this exercise, we must have knowledge of parts of a speech, fixed phrases, idioms, and collocations. Okay, now we are going to do an exercise in which we are going, the first thing to do is to read the whole text so we can have a context and an idea of the topic of the text. So camels, the most distinctive feature of a camel is the hump or humps on space back. In these humps, camels store fat. Space is used as energy when they don't have access to food. They can put space with very difficult conditions, drinking only a little space, no water for up to 7 days. When they reach a place where they can drink, they suck up water. Space, a sponge, they can drink 135 liters in 13 minutes, and their mouths are space tough that they can eat most types of plant. Camels, space, thought by many to have poor hearing, that although their ears are small, their hearing is actually very sharp. Camels can be almost any shade of brown, from pale cream to almost black, and they have long necks to allow them to reach high branches. Despite the space that camels can be trained as useful working animals, they don't always do space is expected. So let's do the exercise. So we are going to start doing the exercise and explaining every single space. As you can see, the topic is about camels, and it gives or provides some information, general information about camels. We are going to start. The most distinctive feature of a camel is the hump or humps on. So basically we are talking about a part of their body. What we must consider here is if we are talking about a plural noun or a singular noun. So at first place we will say that their or its. However, what we must analyze here is if the noun which is mentioned before, it's a singular noun or a plural noun. As we can see here, the only reference is a camel. The most distinctive feature of a camel is the hump or humps on. Yeah, we cannot say there because we are talking about a camel. So the proper possessive pronoun is its back. Yeah, and the other reason is because we are talking about an animal, so that's why we are using its. Its is part of the nouns category in which we find all the pronouns he, she, it, they, among others. Let's continue. In these humps, camels store fat. So here we need like a connector that we can use properly in order to connect this part, this idea, this first idea, and this one. Okay, so if we start thinking about like possible connectors, we might think about that or which. In fact, those are the two possible options in this case. Remember that sometimes we have like a double option for these exercises. So in this case, you can use any of them. Here, that or which, and they work as connectors, but we must have clear that and which are part of the nouns, of the category of nouns, yeah, but they are in fact pronouns. They are called relative pronouns. That, which, who, and whom. Those are relative pronouns. They are that is the actual name of those words. So let's continue. In these humps, camels store fat that or which is used as energy when they don't have access to food. They can put, here the right answer is up. Here we have the word put up with. Yeah, put up with is part of those fixed expressions, but specifically put up with is a phrasal verb. Okay, what means can put up with? Put up with means deal with. So they can deal with very difficult conditions, or they can put up with very difficult conditions. Let's continue. Drinking only little or is the correct word here. Why we are using here this conjunction? Because we are talking about two options. We are connecting this idea, drinking only a little or no water. So we are connecting two ideas using the conjunction or for up to 7 days. When they reach a place where they can drink, they soak up water. And here we are going to use the word like. Why? Because we have two marks here, this hyphen here and this hyphen here, that indicates that in the text is given an example. So here the most appropriate word is like. Why? There are different ways to give examples. We say for example and we use for instance. But the important thing in this exercise is that we can use just one word per space. That's why the most appropriate word in this space is like. We continue. We have, they can drink 135 liters in 13 minutes, and their mouths are tough that they can eat most types of plant. Here we have an adjective. So what we can use before an adjective are the intensifiers. And as I told you before, an intensifier, the intensifiers are words like very, so, to. So in this case, the most appropriate one are so or to in this case, okay? Those are the most appropriate intensifiers for this because we are using here an adjective. That's the key part that allowed us to make a decision. We continue. Camels, space, thought by many to have poor hearing. Here we have a past participle, yeah, which is thought. So basically, and we have another keyword that is by. So probably we are talking about passive voice. So camels are thought by many to have a poor hearing. This is the best option because we are talking about something in general, something that is true, okay? So that's why it's in present and it's an example of passive voice in present. So camels are thought by many to have poor hearing. But although their ears are small, their hearing is actually very sharp. Camels can be almost any shade of brown, from pale cream to almost black, and they have long necks to allow them to reach high branches. Despite the, and we have despite the, and we have the word that. If we remember, one of the examples of those fixed expressions, we have despite the fact that. So that's why here the word is fact, okay, taking into consideration the words before and the word after this space. Despite the fact that camels can be trained as useful working animals, they don't always do. And what is important here, we have here an exclamation mark, which is really important to make a choice. When we talk about exclamation expressions in English, we use very often the word how or the word what. Okay, for example, we have expressions like how cute, how strange is that guy, and we have some other expressions when we say what a great idea, okay, using what, or what a cute couple. Okay, so in this case, the most appropriate one when we are talking about that word of fixed phrases, we have to use what is expected, because how is not appropriate in this case. Yeah, so here the key was the exclamation mark. As I told you, there are two common words that are used for exclamation, and is what and how. Okay, so that's why the answer here is what, taking into consideration the exclamation mark. So this is it, guys. So this presentation will be in YouTube and it's gonna be in the blog, so you can see it whenever you want. You can see it at any time, and please check the blog. There will be some practice exercises to work this open close exercise, and also there will be a quiz.